For millions of people, this is the dream country. The most powerful economy on Earth, the strongest military in the world. But the United States is far more complex than most people imagine. Today, we are traveling across all 50 states. Alabama. Alabama represents the traditional American South. Historically agricultural, the state has undergone a quiet but significant industrial transformation over the last few decades. Alabama's main advantage is its low cost of living combined with a strong manufacturing base. The state hosts major automotive plants from companies like Mercedes-Benz, Hyundai, and Honda, along with steel, logistics, and heavy manufacturing industries. For industrial workers, salaries tend to stretch further here than in more famous states. The Mercedes-Benz plant in Alabama was one of the brand's first major production facilities outside Germany, and now exports high-end SUVs to multiple international markets. Alabama's biggest challenge is weak public education, especially in rural areas. This directly limits income mobility and contributes to long-term economic stagnation in parts of the state. Some counties in Alabama still post education metrics comparable to those of developing countries, an unusual reality for a U.S. state in the 21st century. Alaska. Alaska is a complete outlier. Isolated, extreme, and unique, it operates almost like a separate country within the United States. Alaska's greatest strength is its high income levels combined with direct oil revenue benefits. Residents receive annual payments from the Alaska Permanent Fund, which is financed by oil extraction revenues. In certain years, these payments have exceeded $2,000 per resident, including children, simply for legally living in the state. The downside is extreme isolation and very high logistical costs. Food, electronics, and construction materials are significantly more expensive, and many towns are only accessible by plane or boat. In some Alaskan communities, a gallon of milk can cost 3 to 4 times the national average, due solely to transportation costs. Arizona. Arizona is one of the fastest growing states in the U.S., driven by internal migration, technology expansion, and its dry climate. Arizona's main advantage is economic growth paired with relatively low taxes. Cities like Phoenix and Scottsdale attract technology firms, logistics hubs, healthcare companies, and retirees seeking dry weather. Arizona hosts some of the largest data centers in the United States, as its dry climate reduces humidity-related risks to sensitive electronic equipment. The biggest drawback is extreme heat and long-term water scarcity. Summer temperatures regularly exceed 45 degrees C, 113 degrees C, and population growth is placing heavy pressure on water supplies. In Phoenix, asphalt temperatures can become so high during summer that small aircraft flights have been cancelled due to operational safety risks. Arkansas. Arkansas is often overlooked, yet its economy is more influential than most people expect. Arkansas benefits from a very low cost of living combined with major national employers. The state is home to corporations such as Walmart, Tyson Foods, and J.B. Hunt, providing high-paying corporate jobs in specific regions. The city of Bentonville became an international corporate hub simply by hosting Walmart's headquarters, attracting executives and professionals from around the world. The main weakness is over-dependence on a small number of large employers and limited economic diversification outside these hubs. In many Arkansas towns, the local economy depends almost entirely on one major employer. When that company downsizes or leaves, the entire town can collapse economically. California. California is the most powerful state economy in the United States and would rank among the largest economies in the world if it were independent. It dominates technology, entertainment, and advanced research, with global hubs like Silicon Valley and Hollywood shaping industries far beyond America. High-skilled professionals can earn exceptional salaries, and the state still attracts global talent and venture capital at a scale few places can match. It also has an enormous agricultural engine. California produces more food than any other U.S. state, supplying over 1/3 of the country's vegetables and about 2/3 of its fruits and nuts. At the same time, California's strengths come with heavy trade-offs. Housing costs are extreme, taxes are high, and regulation can make basic living and business operations more expensive than in most states. The result is a severe affordability crisis that squeezes the middle class and pushes many residents to leave for cheaper states. Despite its wealth, California has the largest homeless population in the United States, and in parts of its richest cities, you can see large encampments sitting just blocks away from luxury districts. Colorado. Colorado is widely associated with high quality of life, outdoor access, and a strong work-life balance. The state has a diversified economy spanning aerospace, defense, technology, energy, and healthcare. Denver and its surrounding areas attract young professionals, remote workers, and families seeking safety, nature, and economic stability. Colorado has one of the highest concentrations of engineers and scientists per capita in the United States, largely due to its aerospace and defense industries. At the same time, Colorado's popularity has created its own problems. Housing prices have risen sharply, especially along the Front Range, pushing long-time residents out of urban centers. Traffic congestion, water stress, and urban sprawl are becoming increasingly visible, while wages in some sectors lag behind the rising cost of living. In several Colorado cities, home prices have doubled in less than a decade, making home ownership unattainable for many local workers. Connecticut. Connecticut is one of the wealthiest states in America, helped by its location between New York City and Boston. It has strong public services, high average household income, and a reputation for excellent healthcare and education. The state's economy benefits from finance and insurance, defense manufacturing, and high-skilled professional work. Connecticut also consistently ranks near the top in health outcomes, including life expectancy, reflecting the combination of medical access, income concentration, and public infrastructure in many areas. But Connecticut also has a structural problem. It can feel expensive and slow-moving compared to faster-growing states. Taxes are high, housing can be costly in desirable areas, and many young professionals leave for states where careers scale faster and daily life is cheaper. Several of Connecticut's older industrial cities have faced long-term population decline and economic stagnation, even while the state as a whole remains very rich on paper, creating a sharp internal contrast between affluent corridors and struggling urban zones. Delaware. Delaware is small, but it plays an outsized role in the U.S. economy because of its business environment. It is famous for corporate law and incorporation rules that attract companies from around the country and the world. A majority of U.S. publicly traded companies are legally incorporated in Delaware, even if their headquarters are elsewhere, which brings the state steady revenue and makes it a quiet power center of corporate governance. The downside is that Delaware's economic profile can be narrower than people expect. Outside corporate services, finance, and certain specialized sectors, the job market is more limited, and there is less big city dynamism than in neighboring states. Because so much of the state's identity is tied to this corporate niche, Delaware can feel less diversified in opportunities and cultural scale. and wages in many everyday sectors do not match the corporate capital image people assume when they first hear the name. Florida. Florida is one of the fastest growing states in the United States, driven by warm climate, strong internal migration, and a tax-friendly environment. The absence of state income tax attracts retirees, entrepreneurs, and remote workers, while tourism, logistics, real estate, healthcare, and international trade support a large and diverse economy. Florida is also a global gateway to Latin America, with cities like Miami functioning as financial and cultural hubs for the entire region. However, Florida's growth brings structural vulnerabilities. Wages in many sectors remain below the national average, while housing and insurance costs have risen sharply. Hurricanes, flooding, and climate risk increasingly affect daily life and long-term planning. In some coastal areas, property insurance has become so expensive that homeowners are being forced to sell or relocate, even as population continues to grow. Georgia. Georgia has positioned itself as one of the most economically dynamic states in the American South. Atlanta serves as a major logistics, transportation, and corporate center, hosting global companies in finance, media, technology, and logistics. The state benefits from strong infrastructure, a major international airport, and a business-friendly environment that attracts investment and steady job creation. At the same time, Georgia shows deep internal contrasts. While Metro Atlanta grows rapidly, many rural areas lag behind in income, education, and access to services. Traffic congestion in and around Atlanta is among the worst in the country, and rapid expansion has intensified housing pressure. The gap between high-growth urban zones and slower rural regions remains one of Georgia's central long-term challenges. Hawaii. Hawaii offers a lifestyle unlike any other U.S. state, with exceptional natural beauty, strong community culture, and a deep connection between land, identity, and daily life. Tourism drives much of the economy, supported by military presence and federal spending. Hawaii also benefits from high life expectancy and strong social cohesion compared to many mainland states. The trade-off is cost and isolation. Hawaii consistently ranks among the most expensive places to live in the United States, with housing, food, and energy prices far above national averages due to its geographic distance. Economic opportunities outside tourism and government-related sectors are limited, pushing many young residents to leave the islands in search of affordability and broader career paths. Idaho. Idaho has emerged as a quiet growth state, attracting families and remote workers seeking safety, lower costs, and access to nature. The state benefits from agriculture, food processing, manufacturing, and a growing technology presence in cities like Boise. Compared to coastal states, Idaho offers relatively low taxes, lower crime rates, and a slower pace of life that appeals to people leaving dense urban centers. But Idaho's rapid growth has begun to strain its advantages. Housing prices have risen quickly in popular areas, while wages have not increased at the same pace. The state's economy remains less diversified than larger states, and access to specialized healthcare, higher education, and high-paying jobs can be limited outside a few urban centers. As demand increases, Idaho faces the challenge of growth without losing the affordability that made it attractive in the first place. Illinois. Illinois plays a central role in the American economic and transportation system. Anchored by Chicago, the state is a major hub for finance, logistics, manufacturing, education, and culture. Its central location connects rail, road, air, and waterways, making it one of the most strategically positioned states in the country. Chicago alone hosts a powerful financial sector, global corporations, top universities, and one of the busiest transportation networks in North America. The problem is that Illinois struggles with long-term fiscal imbalance. High taxes, public pension debt, and budget pressure have pushed many residents and businesses to leave for cheaper states. Outside Chicago, several cities face population decline and weakened local economies. The contrast between a globally relevant metropolis and struggling interior regions defines Illinois' biggest challenge. Indiana. Indiana is known for stability, predictability, and affordability. The state has a strong manufacturing base, especially in automotive and industrial production, combined with a low cost of living and relatively business-friendly policies. Its central location makes it attractive for logistics and distribution, and many families choose Indiana for its balance between employment access and manageable living costs. On the other hand, Indiana can feel limited in upward mobility and innovation compared to faster-growing states. Wages in many sectors are moderate, and major urban centers lack the scale and diversity found elsewhere. For young professionals seeking rapid career acceleration, cultural variety, or cutting-edge industries, Indiana may feel restrictive despite its stability. Iowa. Iowa represents consistency and long-term reliability. The state has a strong agricultural backbone, complemented by food processing, renewable energy, and advanced farming technology. Iowa regularly ranks well in safety, infrastructure maintenance, and basic public services, offering a calm and orderly environment for families and long-term planning. The downside is limited diversification. Outside agriculture and related industries, economic opportunities can be narrow, especially for highly specialized or creative careers. Population growth is slow, and many younger residents leave for larger states with more dynamic job markets. Iowa's stability, while valuable, can also translate into stagnation. Kansas. Kansas sits at the geographic heart of the United States and has long been shaped by agriculture, aviation, and energy. The state benefits from very low housing costs, strong farming output, and an important role in aircraft manufacturing, particularly around Wichita. For businesses tied to land, logistics, or industrial production, Kansas offers space, affordability, and low operational pressure. However, Kansas faces structural economic challenges. Growth has been slow, wages lag behind national averages, and many rural areas continue to lose population. Limited diversification and recurring fiscal debates have reduced investment momentum. For residents, the trade-off is clear: very low living costs in exchange for fewer opportunities and slower economic movement. Kentucky. Kentucky sits at the intersection of the Midwest and the South, giving it a mixed economic and cultural identity. The state benefits from a strong logistics position, with major shipping hubs for companies like UPS, and a solid manufacturing base in automotive and aerospace components. Kentucky is also globally known for bourbon production, which supports tourism, exports, and thousands of specialized jobs across the state. At the same time, Kentucky faces persistent income and health challenges. Many rural areas struggle with low wages, limited access to healthcare, and reduced economic mobility. Coal's long decline has left parts of eastern Kentucky without a clear replacement industry, and opioid addiction has had a deep social and economic impact, weighing heavily on workforce participation and public health. Louisiana. Louisiana stands out for its unique culture, shaped by French, African, and Caribbean influences, and for its strategic role in energy and trade. The state is a major hub for oil, gas, petrochemicals, and port activity, with the Mississippi River supporting one of the largest trade corridors in the world. Cities like New Orleans also drive tourism, music, and food culture that give Louisiana a strong global identity. However, Louisiana struggles with deep structural problems. Poverty rates remain high, infrastructure is fragile, and public services often underperform. Frequent hurricanes and flooding increase long-term risk and recovery costs, especially for lower-income communities. Despite strong industrial output, wealth distribution remains uneven, limiting broader economic progress. Maine. Maine is defined by safety, natural beauty, and environmental quality. The state offers a calm lifestyle, strong community ties, and access to forests, coastline, and clean air, making it attractive for retirees and remote workers. Its economy relies on healthcare, education, tourism, fishing, and increasingly on renewable energy and small-scale innovation. The challenge for Maine is demographic and economic scale. It has one of the oldest populations in the United States, and workforce shortages are common. Job opportunities outside healthcare and tourism are limited, and wages tend to be lower than national averages. Long winters and geographic distance from major markets also reduce economic momentum. Maryland. Maryland benefits heavily from its proximity to Washington, D.C., which drives high incomes, federal employment, and advanced research sectors. The state has strong industries in biotechnology, cybersecurity, defense, and healthcare, and consistently ranks near the top in median household income. Access to top hospitals, universities, and public services is a major advantage. The downside is cost and inequality. Housing prices are high in most desirable areas, taxes are significant, and regional disparities are sharp. While suburbs near Washington thrive, parts of Baltimore and rural Maryland face persistent economic and social challenges. The contrast between extreme affluence and concentrated hardship defines Maryland's internal tension. Massachusetts. Massachusetts is one of the most advanced knowledge-based economies in the United States. It leads in education, healthcare, biotechnology, and research, anchored by globally influential universities, hospitals, and innovation clusters around Boston and Cambridge. The state attracts high-skilled talent from around the world and consistently ranks at the top in academic performance, life expectancy, and medical outcomes. The trade-off is affordability. Housing costs are extremely high, taxes are significant, and everyday expenses can overwhelm middle-income households. Outside the greater Boston area, economic opportunities thin out quickly, creating a sharp divide between a world-class innovation hub and slower, less dynamic regions struggling to keep pace. Michigan. Michigan is historically tied to American industry and manufacturing, especially the automotive sector. Detroit and its surrounding region remain central to vehicle production, advanced manufacturing, and engineering, while the state also benefits from freshwater access, agriculture, and growing investment in electric vehicle technology. In recent years, parts of Michigan have shown signs of urban recovery and reinvestment. At the same time, Michigan carries long-term structural scars. Population decline, aging infrastructure, and fiscal stress affect many cities outside the main growth corridors. Winters are harsh, and economic diversification has been slow in some regions, making it difficult to retain younger workers who often leave for states with faster-growing job markets. Minnesota. Minnesota is often associated with strong public services, social stability, and high overall quality of life. The state has a diversified economy that includes healthcare, manufacturing, agriculture, retail headquarters, and technology. Minneapolis-St. Paul functions as a major regional center with high employment, solid wages, and good infrastructure. The downside is climate and cost pressure in urban areas. Long, severe winters limit lifestyle flexibility for many people, and housing costs have increased significantly in the Twin Cities. In addition, social and political tensions in recent years have exposed divisions that contrast with Minnesota's reputation for cohesion and stability. Mississippi. Mississippi offers some of the lowest living costs in the United States and a strong cultural identity rooted in music, history, and regional tradition. The state benefits from agriculture, manufacturing, and port access along the Mississippi River, providing logistical advantages for certain industries. However, Mississippi consistently ranks at or near the bottom in income, education, and health outcomes. Economic opportunity is limited in many areas, and generational poverty remains widespread. Weak infrastructure and underfunded public services continue to restrict long-term development, making Mississippi one of the most challenging states for upward mobility. Missouri. Missouri sits at a geographic and economic crossroads of the United States. With major cities like St. Louis and Kansas City, the state benefits from logistics, transportation, healthcare, manufacturing, and a growing services sector. Its central location supports rail, highway, and river trade, while housing remains relatively affordable compared to coastal states. Missouri also hosts a mix of urban opportunity and small city livability, which appeals to families and cost-conscious professionals. The weakness lies in uneven development and social outcomes. Many rural areas lag behind in income, healthcare access, and education, while crime remains a persistent issue in parts of St. Louis and Kansas City. Economic momentum exists, but it is fragmented, creating sharp contrasts between revitalized districts and declining communities. Quick pause here. If you're enjoying this journey across the United States, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who loves geography and world history. Montana. Montana is defined by space, nature, and a strong sense of independence. The state offers exceptional environmental quality, low population density, and a lifestyle centered on outdoor activities. Industries such as agriculture, energy, tourism, and remote work support a modest but stable economy. For those seeking safety, quiet, and distance from large urban systems, Montana is highly attractive. The trade-off is limited scale. Job markets are small, wages are often below national averages, and access to advanced healthcare or specialized education can require long travel. Rapid migration from wealthier states has also driven housing prices up in popular towns, putting pressure on locals whose incomes have not risen at the same pace. Nebraska. Nebraska is built around stability, predictability, and long-term planning. The state benefits from strong agriculture, food processing, insurance, and logistics industries, with Omaha serving as a financial and corporate center. Nebraska consistently ranks well in employment stability and infrastructure reliability, offering a low-risk environment for families and businesses. The downside is limited diversity in opportunity and lifestyle. Outside a few urban centers, economic options narrow quickly and population growth is slow. Many younger residents leave in search of faster-paced careers, cultural variety, or higher salaries, making workforce renewal a long-term concern. Nevada. Nevada is known for its tax advantages and economic concentration around tourism and entertainment. The absence of state income tax attracts individuals and businesses, while Las Vegas and Reno support jobs in hospitality, conventions, logistics, and increasingly technology and manufacturing. The state's regulatory flexibility has made it appealing for rapid development and relocation. However, Nevada's dependence on a few core industries creates vulnerability. Economic downturns hit tourism hard, and water scarcity remains a serious long-term risk. Housing costs have risen quickly in growing areas, while wages in service-heavy sectors often fail to keep pace, creating instability beneath the state's image of opportunity. New Hampshire. New Hampshire is often associated with high quality of life, safety, and fiscal restraint. The state benefits from low taxes, including no state income tax or sales tax, which attracts families and professionals seeking stability and predictable finances. Its economy is supported by healthcare, education, manufacturing, and proximity to Boston, allowing residents to access high-paying jobs while living in quieter communities. The downside is limited scale and rising housing pressure. New Hampshire has a tight housing market, especially in its southern regions, where demand from Boston commuters has pushed prices up quickly. Job diversity is narrower than in larger states, and younger residents sometimes leave in search of broader career paths and urban life. New Jersey. New Jersey benefits from one of the most strategic locations in the United States, sitting between New York City and Philadelphia. The state has high household incomes, strong public education, advanced healthcare, and a diversified economy that includes pharmaceuticals, finance, logistics, and technology. Many residents earn high salaries while remaining close to major global business centers. The trade-off is cost and taxation. New Jersey consistently ranks among the highest taxed states in the country, and housing costs are elevated across much of the state. Despite its wealth, some urban areas struggle with inequality and infrastructure strain, creating sharp contrasts between affluent suburbs and stressed cities. New Mexico. New Mexico stands out for its cultural depth, open landscapes, and strategic scientific role. The state hosts major national laboratories, supports aerospace and defense research, and benefits from renewable energy potential. Its cost of living is relatively moderate, and its distinct cultural identity attracts artists, retirees, and those seeking a slower, more independent lifestyle. At the same time, New Mexico faces serious structural challenges. Education outcomes are weak, poverty rates remain high, and economic opportunities outside government, research, and tourism are limited. Many rural areas struggle with access to healthcare and employment, making upward mobility difficult despite the state's scientific importance. New York. New York is one of the most influential states in the world, anchored by New York City, a global center for finance, media, culture, and diplomacy. The state offers unmatched access to high-paying careers, international networks, and advanced industries. Its universities, financial markets, and cultural institutions give New York global relevance far beyond its borders. The cost of this influence is extreme pressure on residents. Housing, taxes, and everyday expenses are among the highest in the United States, particularly in and around New York City. Outside the metropolitan area, many regions face economic stagnation and population decline, creating a sharp divide between a global megacity and struggling upstate communities. North Carolina. North Carolina has become one of the most balanced growth states in the United States. It combines a diversified economy with relatively moderate living costs, supported by finance, technology, research, manufacturing, and a strong university system. Cities like Raleigh, Durham, and Charlotte attract companies and skilled workers, while the state also benefits from ports, agriculture, and a growing healthcare sector. This mix has made North Carolina especially attractive for families and professionals leaving more expensive states. The pressure point is that growth has not been evenly distributed. Housing prices have risen quickly in the main metro areas, while wages in some sectors lag behind. Rural regions still struggle with limited investment, and infrastructure is under strain in fast-growing corridors. The gap between booming cities and slower rural areas continues to widen. North Dakota. North Dakota is shaped by energy, agriculture, and resilience. The state benefits from oil production in the Bakken region, strong farming output, and very low unemployment during energy booms. Its small population and steady demand for labor often translate into high wages relative to living costs, especially in skilled trades and energy-related work. The downside is volatility and isolation. The economy is highly exposed to commodity cycles, meaning downturns can arrive quickly when energy prices fall. Harsh winters, geographic isolation, and limited urban centers make it difficult to retain young professionals long-term, even when wages are strong. Ohio. Ohio is one of the most structurally important states in the Midwest, with a large population and a diversified industrial base. Manufacturing, healthcare, logistics, education, and finance all play significant roles, and cities like Columbus have emerged as stable growth centers. Ohio offers relatively affordable housing and a broad employment base, making it accessible for families and mid-career professionals. At the same time, Ohio faces long-term transition challenges. Many older industrial cities continue to lose population, and parts of the state struggle to redefine themselves after decades of manufacturing decline. Wages are moderate, and economic momentum varies widely by region, creating uneven opportunity across the state. Oklahoma. Oklahoma's economy is strongly tied to energy, aviation, and logistics. The state benefits from low housing costs, low taxes, and a business environment that favors industrial development. Oil and gas remain central, while aerospace and defense manufacturing provide additional stability in certain regions. The vulnerability lies in over-reliance on commodities and limited diversification. Economic performance rises and falls with energy markets, and wages outside specialized sectors remain relatively low. Public services and infrastructure investment lag behind national averages, which can limit long-term growth and quality of life, despite the state's affordability. Oregon. Oregon is known for environmental quality, innovation, and a strong lifestyle appeal tied to nature. The state benefits from technology manufacturing, clean energy, outdoor industries, and a culture that attracts creative professionals and remote workers. Portland anchors much of the economy, while access to forests, coastline, and mountains supports tourism and quality of life. Oregon also has a long tradition of environmental protection that shapes urban planning and land use. The downside is growing urban strain and governance challenges. Housing costs have risen sharply in major cities, while wages in many sectors have not kept pace. Parts of Portland and other urban areas struggle with homelessness, public safety concerns, and visible deterioration of public spaces. Outside the main metro areas, job opportunities thin quickly, reinforcing a divide between attractive lifestyle zones and limited economic depth. Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania has a deep economic and historical foundation, combining legacy industries with modern sectors. The state benefits from healthcare, education, finance, logistics, and energy, while cities like Philadelphia and Pittsburgh have reinvented themselves through technology, medicine, and research. Its central location in the Northeast Corridor supports trade, mobility, and access to major markets. However, Pennsylvania faces uneven regional performance. Many former industrial towns continue to decline, infrastructure is aging, and population growth is slow outside a few urban centers. Taxes and regulatory complexity vary widely by locality, creating friction for businesses and residents. The contrast between revitalized cities and struggling interior regions remains one of the state's defining challenges. Rhode Island. Rhode Island is the smallest U.S. state, but it benefits from proximity to major Northeast markets and a strong maritime and academic presence. Healthcare, education, design, and marine-related industries support the economy, while coastal access and historic cities give the state a distinctive character. Its size allows for short commutes and close connections between institutions, business, and government. The limitation is scale. Rhode Island's economy is small, job diversity is narrow, and wages often trail neighboring states. Housing costs can still be high despite modest salaries, and many residents commute out of state for better opportunities. The state's small size, while convenient, also restricts long-term economic expansion. South Carolina. South Carolina has emerged as a major growth state in the Southeast, driven by manufacturing, logistics, and population inflows. The state hosts large automotive and aerospace operations and benefits from ports that support global trade. Low costs and a business-friendly environment have attracted both companies and retirees, fueling steady economic expansion. The challenge is that growth has not translated evenly into prosperity. Wages remain relatively low in many sectors, and access to healthcare, education, and infrastructure varies widely by region. Rapid development has increased housing pressure in coastal and urban areas, while rural communities lag behind. The gap between fast-growing corridors and underserved regions continues to shape South Carolina's long-term outlook. South Dakota. South Dakota is built around fiscal simplicity, low regulation, and long-term stability. The state benefits from very low taxes, a strong agricultural base, and a growing role in financial services and data centers, especially in Sioux Falls. Employment levels are steady, crime rates are relatively low, and the overall cost of living remains manageable, which appeals to families and businesses seeking predictability rather than rapid expansion. The limitation is scale and diversification. Outside a few urban pockets, job options are narrow, wages are modest, and cultural and professional variety is limited. Harsh winters and geographic isolation reduce attraction for younger professionals, and population growth remains slow, constraining future economic momentum. Tennessee. Tennessee has become one of the fastest-growing states in the South, driven by low taxes, population inflows, and a diversified economy. The absence of a state income tax, combined with strong sectors like healthcare, logistics, manufacturing, and entertainment, has made cities like Nashville and Memphis major growth hubs. Tennessee also benefits from a central location and strong transportation infrastructure. The downside is uneven development and public service pressure. Rapid growth has driven housing costs sharply higher in popular cities, while wages in many sectors remain below national averages. Rural areas lag behind urban centers, and investment in education and healthcare has not kept pace with population growth, creating long-term structural strain. Texas. Texas operates at a scale unmatched by any other U.S. state. It has a massive, highly diversified economy spanning energy, technology, manufacturing, logistics, defense, and finance. The state's low taxes, business-friendly policies, and large labor market attract companies and workers from across the country and abroad. Cities like Austin, Dallas, Houston, and San Antonio function as independent economic engines within a single state. The trade-off is imbalance and pressure on systems. Infrastructure, power grids, and water resources are under constant strain due to rapid population growth. Income inequality is significant, and access to public services varies widely by region. While Texas offers opportunity at scale, quality of life can differ dramatically depending on location, income level, and exposure to extreme weather. Utah. Utah is often cited as one of the most stable and forward-looking states in the United States. It benefits from strong population growth, low unemployment, and a young, educated workforce. Technology, finance, aerospace, and outdoor industries fuel the economy, while cities along the Wasatch Front offer a combination of safety, family orientation, and long-term planning. Utah consistently ranks high in employment and business growth metrics. The pressure point is affordability and access. Rapid growth has driven housing prices sharply upward, especially in and around Salt Lake City. Water availability and long-term sustainability are emerging concerns, and cultural homogeneity in some areas can feel restrictive for newcomers. Utah's success has made it desirable, but also increasingly expensive. Vermont. Vermont is associated with safety, environmental quality, and a strong sense of community. The state emphasizes local production, sustainability, and small-scale enterprise, with strengths in healthcare, education, tourism, and specialty agriculture. Its towns offer low crime, clean environments, and a slower pace of life that appeals to retirees, remote workers, and families prioritizing stability over scale. The constraint is economic breadth. Vermont's economy is small, wages are modest, and career options outside public services, healthcare, and tourism are limited. Long winters, an aging population, and high housing costs relative to local incomes create pressure, making it difficult to attract and retain younger workers. Virginia. Virginia benefits from proximity to Washington, D.C., which drives high incomes, federal employment, and advanced industries. The state has strong sectors in defense, cybersecurity, technology, and government services, especially in Northern Virginia. It also offers a mix of urban access, suburban comfort, and rural space, making it attractive for professionals and families alike. The downside is cost concentration and regional imbalance. Housing prices and congestion are severe in the Northern Corridor, while parts of southern and rural Virginia lag behind economically. Dependence on federal spending also exposes the state to political and budgetary shifts, creating long-term uncertainty for some sectors. Washington. Washington is a technology and innovation powerhouse anchored by global companies in software, cloud computing, aerospace, and logistics. High wages, strong export activity, and access to Pacific trade routes support a robust economy. The state also offers exceptional natural beauty, with mountains, coastline, and forests integrated into daily life. The pressure comes from cost and urban strain. Housing prices in and around Seattle are among the highest in the country, while homelessness and public safety concerns have grown in major cities. Rapid growth has stressed infrastructure and widened inequality between high-income tech workers and lower-wage residents. West Virginia. West Virginia is defined by natural resources, affordability, and strong local identity. The state offers very low housing costs, access to mountains and outdoor recreation, and a quieter lifestyle removed from large urban systems. Energy, healthcare, and public services anchor much of the employment base. The challenge is long-term economic decline. The fall of coal left deep structural gaps, and replacement industries have not scaled sufficiently. Wages are low, health outcomes lag behind national averages, and population decline continues. Limited access to diversified jobs and modern infrastructure makes upward mobility difficult for many residents. Wisconsin. Wisconsin is shaped by manufacturing strength, agriculture, and a long tradition of stable communities. The state benefits from food production, machinery, medical devices, and a solid industrial base, while cities like Madison and Milwaukee support education, healthcare, and research. Wisconsin also offers relatively affordable housing, strong public services in many areas, and access to fresh water through the Great Lakes, which supports industry and quality of life. The challenge is climate and economic transition. Long, harsh winters limit lifestyle flexibility and discourage migration from warmer states. Parts of the manufacturing sector face slow adaptation to new technologies, and population growth is modest. In some regions, wages have not kept pace with rising costs, creating pressure on younger workers deciding whether to stay or leave. Wyoming. Wyoming is defined by scale, independence, and extreme affordability. The state has no income tax, very low population density, and strong revenues from energy extraction, especially oil, gas, and coal. Government finances are relatively stable due to these resources, and residents benefit from low housing costs, minimal congestion, and wide open space. The trade-off is limited opportunity and isolation. Job markets are small, career diversity is narrow, and access to advanced healthcare and higher education often requires travel to other states. Economic dependence on energy exposes Wyoming to commodity cycles, and harsh winters combined with geographic isolation make long-term retention of young professionals difficult. These are the 50 states of the United States, different landscapes, cultures, economies, and realities. Understanding them helps explain how this country became a global power. Thanks for watching.